What's going on, family? Welcome back to Israel's Movie Reviews. And today we're going to be going over one of the movies that I consider a top martial arts movie from back in the day. And this movie was from 1993 and it's called Best of the Best 2. Yeah, we're going to skip straight to the sequel because although I respect the original, I think part 2 supersedes the first one. But I'll give you a little info about the first one. The first one went under the radar for the most part. It was an excellent film. It was about Americans, basically 6 Americans that get together and they have to form this cohesive unit to go against kind of have this like a Olympic event when it comes to karate. Eventually they have their ups and downs, but eventually they form together and go against their foe, which is Japan. And they reach that finals and lose. But ultimately they gain the respect of the Japanese or I believe Tokyo or just Asian fighters, and that movie ends, and it ends with little bits of cliff notes, right? One of the characters, he's a struggling single dad, has a son, which transfers to the second film. Phillip Rhee goes against his brother in real life, and basically kicks his ass, almost kills him. And that's pretty much the first film. The second film is a very, very watchable sequel. You know, the fight scenes in this film, to me, elevate. Best of the Best 2 stars Phillip Rhee, Eric Roberts, and Chris Penn, the late Chris Penn. And I think this is above average territory. It's considered a B movie. But even today, I think it holds well compared to a lot of the 90s films back in the day. Chris Penn is in his usual macho self and puts on a good show until he runs into this behemoth monster, man, played by Ralph Moeller, plays a character named Brakus, who's this kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger type guy. Eric Roberts and Phillip Rhee avenge the death of their friend eventually, with some spectacular fighting for that time. And around this time, I was very big into martial arts movies because I was just coming into my own as a kid. I was a very young kid. This came out back in 1993, and I was into Power Rangers, which 1993 it came out, and the director of this movie actually directed a few episodes, actually, and it was just hard not to pay attention to films like this. My godfather and my father watched the original, and then eventually I had the video at home. I had one of those Panasonic TVs that had the video cassette player inside, and we would just go. That movie really never came out. This was between that movie and Double Impact. They were swap out. So I saw this movie numerous times. I just rewatched it, and it holds up well to this day. This movie was a special mention because it made Wayne Newton's kind of schmuggy performance as this Coliseum's pompous announcer someone you'll love to hate even in real life. He played such a good role. He basically played himself. And if you know Wayne Newton, back in the day, he was this big, larger-than-life guy who I think pretty much had a residency in Vegas. And this movie was pure entertainment. The film succeeds because it has these very enthusiastic performances and well-staged gladiator-style battles. The scenes where there's fighting in this movie are second to none. There's an explosion. There's a drama. This movie has everything boiled up into one. It was really, really well made. You know, I gave this movie a 7.5 out of 10, and I'm giving you it pretty early. You know, it's not quite Van Damme, but it's still excellent karate. You know, to me, this was Eric Roberts in his best, for sure. You know, he's done a lot of movies. You know, I couldn't find this movie nowhere. I was looking for it for years. Still can't find it, honestly. And you don't really see it on any of the streaming platforms. You know, this was not a bad sequel. They gave it a solid budget. It's really rewatchable. The story continues after the 5 fighters, and I mentioned 6 before, but it was actually 5 fighters who won this competition against, now that I remember, it was Korea. And I think 3-4 years later take place, and boom, you get this movie. You know, the 3 fighters are, you know, Roberts, who plays Grady, Tommy, who's Rhee, Phillips, and Travis, Chris Penn. You know, they're all now good friends from the previous film, and they're enjoying their retirement after the championship was won. But the infamous troublemaker Travis, Chris Penn's character, he participates in these underground fights in this place called the Coliseum, and dies after he challenges the champion. After winning his first battle, he was like, fuck this, I want to go straight to the champion. Begrudgingly, they give it to him, and he meets his demise. And the two remaining fighters that were his friends, they seek this revenge against him and the manager. And the film is strictly for those who love martial arts film, because believe it or not, for a martial arts film, it has a lot of drama, has a lot of feel to it, especially those who are trained in taekwondo, hapkido, karate, aikido, kung fu. You're gonna love this. As a kid, me and my brother, we took karate. I only got to a yellow belt, but I give these guys so much credit, because if you didn't do that, or if you're not into that, you're not gonna pay attention to the other things like the script, the makeup, because there isn't anything really special about it. But the acting crew from the first film was pretty interesting. But the ones here are, I think, second to none. I think Phillip, he at this time really didn't show his acting ability in this film, I believe, but he's in his own terrain, who shows his really cool skills and these spectacular fight scenes. I love him when he does his aikido, his kung fu, and I think you couldn't even hide the kind of stiffness that Eric Roberts gives to his character, but he usually gives that same character in all his films. The main bad guy here, to me, he wasn't charismatic or evil. He's very just egotistical in the movie. He's just this angry, big, strong, tank kind of human being. And that's pretty much it. That's the only gripe I pretty have with him. I think he should have been a little more multi-layered. But for what he did for the film, it actually worked. So the real leading villain here was the manager, which was played by Wayne, and plays a character called Weldon. And he's this entertainer. Basically, like I said, plays himself. Although he didn't sing, you could tell he wanted to break out. And he has this exceptional high voice, and he's just really good as a supporting actor. And I loved Meg Foster in this. Her eyes, her beautiful eyes from back in the day, so feminine, and she threw me for a real surprise. We have Sonny Landham here, Billy from Predator. Love that guy. He was really cool the time he was in the film. And as I said before, this movie is for martial arts fans. I highly recommend this film to anybody. This movie was awesome. I just remember watching it a lot with my brothers, man. This movie brings nothing but nostalgia, good feelings. If you're looking for a great, authentic action film, this is it. You know what I mean? It's mindless, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It has brutal violence, it has brotherhood, it has love in it, and it has a reason for fighting for what you believe in and fighting for who you believe in and for what's right. And I was watching this movie always looking at like, damn, this is what I want to do. God forbid if I had to protect my brothers. And I do have a sister also, but I grew up with my brothers for the most part. My sister was a baby. And as I was watching the movie, I could only think this film managed to slip through my fingers. I wish I would have took the video from my dad to this day, even though I don't know how the hell I was going to play it without a VCR. But if you're the type of guy that I am when it comes to martial arts films, this movie's it. It's not your John Wick film. It's not your typical film that you get now, but it's a really, really good throwback. And bottom line, the movie rocks. Just like I rock. But thank you for watching the review, man. I gave this movie a good solid 7.5 out of 10. And for a B movie, that's high praise. Go check it out. Best of the Best 2. I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.